Welcome. You're listening to Ask the Doulas, a podcast where we talk to experts from all over the country about topics related to pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and early parenting. Let's chat.
Hello, this is Kristen Revere with Ask the Doulas, and I am thrilled to bring back Mariana Yancik today. She is one of our pediatric sleep consultants at Gold Coast Doulas. Welcome, Mariana.
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for having me again. I
Good.
am excited to be here today talking about something that we don't talk about enough.
Exactly, and that would be postpartum mood disorders, perinatal mood disorders, and how lack of sleep can affect your mental health after having a baby.
Yeah, I think postpartum depression and anxiety are still not talked about enough in a real and honest way. Before becoming a mom, I thought I understood what postpartum would feel like, especially being one-on-one with so many clients, but living through it is very different. For me, it wasn't just that I was tired. It was a mix of emotions that I didn't know I would be feeling that. And yeah, that definitely affects the sleep. I remember feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and not like myself. And I think that's something a lot of moms experience, but we don't always say it out loud.
Exactly. I feel like it's being talked about more now, but there's not enough education and awareness about the difference between baby blues and those hormone fluctuations and postpartum depression and other mood disorders that could be anything from anxiety to obsessive compulsive disorder to it can get even into psychosis. So there's so many different aspects of postpartum mental health.
Right. And I think postpartum depression and anxiety are more common than people think. And I wanted just to say it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're not a good mom. It just means that you're going through a huge physical, emotional, and hormonal transition. It's huge. You become a new person. It's you after you give birth. Yeah.
Agreed. And certainly when you're sleep deprived, that can just make the situation so much more stressful on the entire family. And some of it has to do with the running thoughts. And maybe even if other people are there to help, like a postpartum doula or a family member or your partner, being able to let go and fully relax can be challenging, especially if there was trauma in the birth.
Right. I remember just like feeling very overwhelmed, racing thoughts. I had trouble relaxing even when my son was sleeping, feeling a little disconnected or that guilt, do it right. Even I knew so much and I helped so many clients, but then when it was my turn, I felt like I didn't know anything. And
Right.
sometimes it doesn't look like how people expect it. You can still be functioning and still be struggling. And one of the biggest pieces that is often overlooked is sleep. When you're constantly waking, not getting deep rest, everything feels heavier. Anxiety increases, emotions feel harder to manage. And sleep doesn't fix everything, but it supports everything. So it is just so important to the sleep to be able to rest when you can, when in those first few months, because you're constantly fitting and then you're adjusting to your new self.
So one thing I've noticed lately, Mariana, is that mental health therapists in our area in Michigan have been referring sleep consultants more frequently to their patients. And so I'm getting calls not just for overnight and daytime postpartum doulas helping with clients who are struggling with perinatal mood disorders, but certainly also the importance of having a sleep plan that clients can implement and that friends and family can help, any other caregivers like a nanny or a postpartum doula. So I love to see that shift. And there's so many misconceptions, as you know, about sleep consulting, and what that really impacts is not all cried out, as you and I have talked about in a previous podcast episode. And it can be very gentle and focused on individual family goals. So it's not just one plan for everyone and very customized. So I love that therapists are also referencing sleep consultants, and whether it's an infant or a toddler, because toddler sleep can also affect mental health.
Oh, for sure. And sometimes if you have a toddler and a baby, or it kind of like, if you don't get your sleep, you're just function. So what is really missing too, it's the support, and also talking about it, not just trying to do everything alone. Having the guidance and structure and knowing what to expect make a really big difference. And if you need to fix your toddler, because if you have a new baby and your toddler sometimes feel that and then start being a good sleeper, but then he can start waking up, you put the baby down and now you have to deal with your toddler, and then your toddler sleeps and then your baby wakes up, like you just can't do it all. So having a plan either for your newborn, your baby, your infant, or your toddler, and knowing what to do. We talked about in the previously episode about so much information out there today, but when you have a plan that is specific for you and it's tailored for your baby, your family, your kid, then you actually know how to implement, to do what to follow. So you have that structure in place, and then everything feels a little lighter.
Agreed. Yeah. And certainly nap time is also a window where our clients can get more rest. It's not just overnight, and being able to utilize getting some solid nap in for their infant and or toddlers can help to, again, get a break, and women don't have to do it all around the house. And a lot of our clients want to tidy up or focus on other chores and tasks during that time that their infants or toddlers are sleeping. And I'm always like, rest when baby rests. Your house doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
And it's also, yeah,
that was something that I learned too on my own, because everything needed to be perfect. The house needed to be clean and all of this, but I just couldn't. So we hired someone to help, that she was coming over to cook and to do laundry. That was it.
Nice.
But then like it took that out of my shoulders, and some little things that I would do, like folding like burp cloths. Like you have so many burp cloths. Instead of wasting time folding and going through 10 every day, I got a basket and then I put all the burp cloths in the basket. So they weren't folded. So that was easier for me, because this lady was coming over twice a week, but then I had more laundry to do than that. So then I wouldn't waste time folding, since you're just going to use that anyway. Or like even the pajamas, like the baby jammies. Sometimes I would just toss them in a drawer, because who cares if they're folded really neatly and very organized if you're just going to go through 3-4 jammies today, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So little things like this that I was just like learn to just like, it's okay. And if I go to sleep and the dishes are in the sink, it's okay. Just like if I didn't do one thing or the other, like if my hair's still dirty, okay, that's fine. I'll wash it tomorrow. Like it's all okay. It doesn't have to be all perfect, and it doesn't have to be all organized. And like, it's okay to leave stuff for later.
Absolutely. As doulas, we are constantly moving through a home during a postpartum shift. We are helping with baby care, supporting feeding, grabbing supplies, settling babies, and making sure moms have what they need. There's a lot of up and down in those early weeks, and I always notice how much the little things matter, especially when it comes to comfort at home. This May, Cozy Earth really leans into the idea that home is where you live your life, especially in postpartum. And having simple, supportive pieces can make a bigger difference than you would expect. That is why their plugs stand out to me. They're the kind of shoe you keep right by the bed and slip on without thinking, whether it is getting up in the middle of the night with your baby, walking the halls to soothe them, or just moving through your day. Cozy Earth clogs make things easier. They have a cushioned footbed, a soft interior, and enough support to keep up with how much time you're on your feet in postpartum. Even though these were not around when I had my own babies, I see now how helpful something like this would have been. And these clogs are exactly the kind of practical comfort I recommend to my clients. Because postpartum is not about doing more, it's about simplifying what you can. Cozy Earth backs everything with a 100-night trial and a 10-year warranty. Head to cozyearth.com and use my code GOLDCOAST for 20% off. And if you see the survey after purchase, let them know you heard about it here on the Ask the Doulas podcast. Comfort lives here. Another way that we can focus our mental health is there are telehealth appointments available now. That is something that when I had kids wasn't an option.
Right.
And so some of our clients also plan either a postpartum doula visit around their telehealth or postpartum support groups that are virtual,
Right.
or even planning nap time around a session, knowing that you might have to pop out for a second to check on your child, but you don't necessarily have to get childcare and then drive across town and meet with a therapist to be able to utilize support for yourself and your family.
Right. That's amazing nowadays that even your doctors or like some other stuff like this, that you could do it online. That's great. I was doing therapy too when I was postpartum, and then it was once a week and it was online. It was great because I didn't have to worry about getting dressed, leaving the house, making sure the baby's dressed, all of those things that makes us not want to go anywhere sometimes.
Right.
So nowadays online is great. And that goes for the sleep consultant as well, because it's online, and then the consultations are online, the video calls are online, the support is through text message or email. So you have that support. You have that person that you can talk to and ask questions anytime you need it during the weeks of support, and you don't have to go anywhere. The answer is right there.
So true. Mother sleep classes are virtual and self-paced and come with a call to answer questions. So there are so many conveniences that can be a positive for mental health. I do believe that with technology, and again, the advantages of it, there's also something to be said about gathering in person. And I'm a big fan of mom groups, whether it's Fit for Moms, some of the stroller stride walking groups, or
Right.
yoga centers that have a community feel and sometimes have daycare built in, and connecting with other moms who are going through the same thing at the same time is also important.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, you don't want to just isolate yourself and stay home. You're going to drive yourself insane. But if you can go on a stroller walk, I'm sure you'll meet moms along the way. And there are so many groups, walking groups, stroller groups, play date groups, that you can meet moms that are going through the same thing as you. That's really amazing. You don't have to go through it by yourself. There is support, and there are villages and communities around. And this season does not last forever. Even though it can feel like it's going to last forever, like, you be okay. The wave is it's going to pass. The first few months are a bit tough, but then it gets better. I promise.
Yeah, and it's important to ask for help. And in your case, having someone to help with cooking and cleaning is so important and gives you a break and allows you to bond with your children and not have to worry about the household tasks. So prioritizing budget, what would make your life easier, but also self-care. And that self-care can be when you're approved to exercise, taking a yoga class, or I love taking the Joyful Sounds music classes with my kids because I could bring my toddler and my baby to the same class.
Oh, that's
And there
great.
were other parents, and there was dancing and singing and playing instruments. And it was so fun to get out of the house because for me, the monotony of being home after being so career focused just was challenging. And I needed to get out and be with other people. So I also enjoyed story time at the library.
The libraries, right. They are usually
Yeah.
free too.
Exactly. So you can even be on a very tight budget and still find ways to connect with others.
And I think it's kind of that thing where you don't really want to go. You don't want to leave the house. You don't want to get ready. There's a lot of effort to leave the house with the baby. But when you're there, it feels so good after. It feels great. You meet people and you're like texting them, you become friends, and then you push each other to go again in the next week and you find new resources. And then it's just great. Sometimes you just have to have that little push to just like, let me go and see. And then once you're there, it's kind of like the gym, like that when sometimes you just don't want to go. But once you're there and then after you're done, you feel so glad that you went.
Exactly. And yeah, you can always text a friend and see if they want to join. I know when I had my kids, I went through Lamaze with both pregnancies, and I would always see if a friend from class wanted to join me at story time or go for a walk if it's a nice day and go by the park near the zoo and just find ways to, have that adult connection that is so
Yeah.
needed in the postnatal time.
Right. And then when you meet people that are going through the same thing as you relate so much, and then you're able to share, you're able to cry, you're able to laugh, you're able to help each other. And then that makes such a big community because it's different when you just meet people like as an adult, when you just meet people, when you're in classes and you actually meet moms that having the same kids, the same ages, and then they're going through the same thing. It hits differently, in my opinion.
And so,
Yeah.
Mariana, when you are in a sleep consulting session with a client and they want to prioritize some outings during the day and you are emphasizing a schedule, what are some of your tips to be able to have balance, get out and meet people, but also have that structure for set nap times and sleep times and really plan for optimal sleep, but also be able to do things that may not fit in the perfect schedule?
Right. Well, everything is very personalized for what they want to do. I would say like when they're really babies, like really newborn, you have a little schedule, but it doesn't matter much because they are going to fall asleep in a stroller on the car seat and you can work around nap time and outings like that. And then once they get a little bit older, you kind of want to protect a little bit nap time, I would say. But after like usually I say like for the weeks of sleep training, then we wanted to protect the schedule and the structure. But after they know how to sleep independently and then after those weeks that they know, then you can get off the schedule here and there because they are just going to adjust. They're going to sleep on a stroller if they need to. And then the next nap, you go back on schedule. And then the next day, you go back on schedule. And then everything falls into place again. My opinion is that you shouldn't not go anywhere just because it's nap time. Just go and the baby will adjust. It's okay.
Yeah. So I think that is a big misconception about sleep plans and how you need to be so structured that you can't enjoy life or have a spontaneous meetup. And so thank you for answering that question. And Mariana, as we wrap up, what are your final tips for our listeners who are wanting to prioritize their mental health, and whether they are pre-conception, expecting, or in the thick of maternity leave. Would love your tips on mental health.
I would just say that ask for help, find your village, find your community, because you do not have to go through this by yourself. And don't be afraid of saying what you actually feeling, because a lot of us, or at least in my case, I was afraid of being a bad mom for feeling what I was feeling, or feeling guilty about what I was feeling, what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. But then talking through those feelings made me realize that I wasn't broken. It wasn't anything wrong with me. It was just a phase that I was going through, and having support. There is your husband, your best friend, your sister, your mom, your therapist, your psychiatrist, your OBGYN, like whoever it is, find someone that you can trust. Your postpartum doula, your sleep specialist, even your birth doula. Find someone that you can talk to, open up, ask for support, ask for help, so you can get better and you can be the mom you want to be. I think a big part of why I do what I do now is because I've seen how much support can change a mother's experience. And it's huge. And also with the sleep, when sleep improves, when there's a plan, there's guidance, everything starts to feel a little more manageable. Postpartum is not just about the baby. It's about the mother too. And when we support the mother, we support the whole family.
Exactly. For our listeners who want to connect with Mariana, she can be found at Gold Coast Doulas on Instagram, Facebook, and our podcasts are on YouTube as well. And you can also connect and find Mariana at the Gold Coast website, goldcoastdoulas.com, and go under sleep consulting, and you can book a session. Thanks so much, Mariana.
Thanks, Kristen, so much for the opportunity of sharing and talking about things that really need to be talked some more.
So important.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Doulas. For more information about Gold Coast Doulas, visit us on our website, goldcoastdoulas.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Thank you. Remember, these moments are golden.